What's up, people? It's your boy MM2K of Hard Knock Digital Culture, Cloud Dosage, MM2K Gaming back again with Cloud Meets Mainstream. This is where we talk about the latest and greatest in mainstream gaming news that overlaps with cloud gaming news, and it's relevant to the importance of the platform that we love. Today I have a special topic. I have some steam. I have some steam to blow, right? But before we get into all that, do us a huge favor. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and rock those bells for notifications, please. Just real quick before we get started, I don't want to keep disillusioning people in regards to when content is going to come out. Cloud gaming news in this realm that overlaps into the mainstream realm is far and few between as of late. So we're going to do this show like every other week now until that changes. So that might change at the end of the year or whatever, but we're going to be doing this show every other week until further notice. Okay, so expect the show every other week. If we do a show back to back, it'll just be a special episode, right? All right. Also, yeah, I had to make a schedule change. We're going to be doing this again Thursday because of my work schedule. We're going to be doing it Thursday directly after the GFN news blog. So yeah, if you're a member, we did the GFN news blog public this time, but normally if you're a member, you get back-to-back treats. You'll get like a 15-30 minute show of the GFN blog coverage, and then we'll come over here and do Cloud Meets Mainstream. All right. So, you could always look forward to being there live every week. And then Cloud Meets Mainstream will be every other week. Okay. All right. Let's get into today's news. All right. So I want to talk about the PlayStation. Right? PlayStation 5 Pro launched this past week. And here I want to do this. You guys might say, well, what does this got to do with cloud gaming, MM? I'm going to break this down. Just give me a second if I can find a freaking article. That, and then I want to do this as well. There we go. Okay. PlayStation 5 Pro. Well, it didn't launch. It was announced. PlayStation 5 Pro. Hold on, I gotta fix this. This is all mine. All right, do I need to fix that? Maybe I don't. I should at least fix that part. There we go. All right, that's good. Sorry about that. I just little pet peeve things like that always distract me. All right, so this is coming from Insider Gaming. Sony reveals that the PlayStation 5 Pro with a November release date. After reports and rumors aplenty over the past 16 months, Sony has officially revealed that the PlayStation 5 Pro for players. The announcement came via a special 9-minute event on the PlayStation's YouTube channel. PlayStation 5 Pro is an all-digital console with the release date of November 7th. As far as price goes, it'll retail for $699. That's a $200 increase over the base PlayStation 5 that features a disc drive. The console comes with a 2 terabyte SSD, a dual-sense controller, and a copy of Astro's Playroom pre-installed. Should you want to add a disc drive, you can buy the separate disc drive for the console for $80. Okay. So in the States, we're looking at anywhere between $810 if you got to get the stand. That's without tax, and then over in the euros for this is like over $900, right? Okay, so because of that announcement, PlayStation 5 Pro reveal is already Sony's most disliked console announcement. And it reads here, the official PlayStation 5 Pro reveal video currently sits at the time of this recording, which was a day or two ago. From this recording, it stood around 2.9 million views with 90,000 likes and 140,001 dislikes. And the dislikes are only getting higher. Again, this is a bigger backlash than previous PlayStation consoles have been subjected to. Okay. So you guys are asking, all right, so shame on them. We are cloud gamers, we care about the cloud solution. We, as a matter of fact, don't like PlayStation solution because they're forcing to use their cloud for their PlayStation 5 games. They are forcing you to buy a console, which is the antithesis of what cloud gaming is supposed to be. This is dumb, this is stupid, and good for them that their $700 console is now getting crapped and pooped on. I get all that, totally get all that. A lot of it I agree with. Most of it, if I agree with it really, there's not anything I don't agree with. I understand the disdain, because I have it as well, for how PlayStation is handling console with respect to cloud. I think that there's so many different things that you can do with cloud that would increase your revenue. And I'm going to break that all down. And tethering it to your console right now, I think is stupid, especially now that you have a situation where the PlayStation 5 is as expensive as it is, because you're essentially scrambling to make money. Now, what am I talking about? You're scrambling to make money because let me see here. I want to put this up here, and then I want to go to Matt Piscatella. Let's see. I want to go to what Matt Piscatella has said. If I can find it. There it goes. Okay. That's not what I wanted to do. I hate Firefox because they do stupid stuff, but so I don't get overcumbered in resources, I got to deal with Firefox right now while I'm streaming. Okay, so here's the problem with what Sony's trying to do here. And I want to show you guys a couple of things. Let me just highlight something here. So that is green. And then I want to put that in green. Then I want to put something else in a red. And what I'm going to put in here in red is this. Okay, all right. And then I want to go down here, and then I'm going to put this back in green. There we go. All right. So let's look at some things right here. Here's what's happening here. Two things are happening that are causing the PlayStation 5 to be this outrageous. And then just bear with me. I'm going to tie this into what cloud has to do with any of this. So this is coming from Matt Piscatella. If you don't know who he is, now I know there's a history, and there's a reason why I'm bringing this up. There's a history of when I bring this up in the cloud space, you guys were like, who? Matt Piscatella, NPD Circana, who's that? You guys sometimes we gotta come out of our cloud shell, and we gotta know who these people are, because instead of just having this one little hut where we all congregate at, if we want cloud gaming to be successful, we gotta understand Main Street, or we got to understand Mainstream Street, right? We got to know how can we preserve the things that make cloud gaming great, but at the same time make it alluring to those in mainstream gaming, because all this bibble babble about, oh, it's going to do this and do that by this year, and by 2027 we're going to have cloud gaming take over the world. No, we looked at the NASDAQ totals. The NASDAQ totals are very nominal. They're only saying that this is going to be, cloud gaming is going to be 5% by 2027. So, there are avenues for this to grow even faster. If this grows faster, then that'll benefit us as cloud gamers even more. So instead of trying to beat people over the head and tell them you should like this, we should understand what makes them tick. Like they say, the old adage goes, when you're in Rome, do as the Romans do. Okay. So we got to understand what makes our mainstream gamer friends tick. And we got to understand things from a much broader perspective. Doesn't mean that we got to agree with everything, but at least understanding that will help us improve the time of that such a transition. So when we do that, it's important for us to understand the importance of data sets provided by Matt Piscatella and Sakana, formerly known as NPD. And he talks, and then look, if cloud gaming is going to be a success globally, it's going to be in large part due to North America. Because what cloud gaming is trying to do is show the AAA gaming market, which its largest market is in North America. That's why NPD is so important. The largest AAA gaming market is in North America. And what cloud gaming is trying to do is, it's not trying to just simply show you, hey, you can play Fizzle, Chisel, Tizzle, Popper on the cloud. What's impressive and what's important is that these big AAA titles can also be played on the cloud, and they can be played in a very feasible and an obtainable and sustainable way for the average gamer. And so if you want to prove that, then you have to make leadway in North America, right? And that's what NPD or Sakana tracks. They track gaming data in North America, and they tell you what's having the most sales, what's sold the most units, all that other stuff, right? So Matt Piscatella is outlining that, hey, he says, because there's a lot of hoopla about the PlayStation 5 Pro price. I am one of them that, and if you go to my channel, MM2K Gaming, you can hear all the stuff that I'm saying in regards to this. I do not think that the PlayStation 5 Pro is priced appropriately. I think the PlayStation 5 Pro is too expensive. There are reasons that it's that expensive that I'm going to point out to you that do not work well for the consumer. And for the price that they're asking for, they're not showing you anything that justifies the price. Now, to you as a cloud gamer, you may say, well, that price is never justified. And I've argued in the past, you got to look beyond that realm of thinking, because we as cloud gamers who think like that would prefer things to be in the cloud, there's two things we're not taking into consideration. Number one, the trust of cloud gaming. After what happened with Stadia, that trust has been eroded, and it's going to take some time for it to come back. Secondly, everybody doesn't have the internet capabilities to really enjoy cloud gaming in the way that they would enjoy native gaming, meaning performance, latency, and all that other stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, things like GeForce Now, and particularly GeForce Now Ultimate, you know, they go a long way into swatting away those narratives, but not 100% yet. Where GeForce Now Ultimate is reliable when it comes to performance, they don't have every game. They have most of them, but they don't have every game. And as we did in the last GeForce Now Ultimate blog, or GeForce Now blog post, you know, they're getting games that I didn't even expect for them to get day one. Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster, I was not expecting them to get that game. So, with that said, there are certain caveats that we got to be aware of before we start saying, well, hardware doesn't mean anything. It means something to those that want a specific performance. They don't want to feel, because you're like, oh, well, you can game everywhere. Well, what if I don't care about gaming everywhere? I don't own a Switch. I don't care about that. And you go to a Switch person, well, you can get AAA gaming on the go. If I cared about AAA gaming, I wouldn't primarily game on the Switch. You understand? You see what I'm saying? So there has to be a benefit. There has to be pluses to this thing. And a lot of it is cost. You get to negate the cost of hardware. But by negating the cost of the hardware, by you not, by everything being digital, and by these platforms not being really sustained in a concrete way, like how Stadia wasn't, that trust has to be built. So you gotta understand why people flock to consoles. A bigger reason why console and hardware gaming, particularly with consoles, is important is because the current business dynamic of console gaming creates the best games out there. It does. Look at the Game Awards, right? The most awarded, critically acclaimed, purchased, sought after games are the exclusives, even though the multiplats are everywhere. Why? Because generally the best AAA games tend to be the exclusives. That's because a platform holder has to battle another platform holder in order for you to buy your Call of Duty, your Fortnite purchases and all of this stuff. They are fighting, kicking and scratching and clawing for you to buy that stuff on their platform. So why would I get your platform? Well, on top of these games I can get everywhere, you also have a subset of games that are awesome. They're really the best in the market. So I'm going to pick that console. And you only have that dynamic when you're willing to do something like Sony says, right? And let me put this on the screen. Where Sony says something to the effect of this. Shuhei Yoshida, only 4 out of 10 PlayStation games make money, but Sony will always support talent. This has been Sony's strategy since 2014. Now they kind of abandoned the strategy for 2 years for their games as a service kick, but then you can see what happened with that. That fell apart, and in February of this year, they went back to the single player strategy. This is what Yoshida had to say, and he gave us the secrets on how this works. He says it's a hit-driven business. We look at our financial results of the titles, and probably 3 out of 4 out of the 10 make money, and maybe 1 or 2 make all the money to cover the cost of the other titles. So we have to be able to maintain that hit ratio at a certain level to be able to continue the business. So we always try to find out and support and help grow that talent. So what they're telling you is that with a 60% failure rate, this is the best way that you can create the best titles. You got to be willing to fail 60% of the time. No more than 60. But you got to be able to stomach a 60% failure rate, and really have the success of your exclusives really fall on 2 titles. That's insanity. And that's something that a multi-plat developer cannot do, because a multi-plat developer's job is to sell you games. A platformer's job is to sell you their marketplace. Huge difference. When I'm a third-party developer, I want to sell you my game. So it's all about getting as many copies of my titles out as much as I can with the highest, net profit ratio. Okay. So in order to do that, I may not always focus on quality. Prime example, Madden. Madden sells like gangbusters every year. They're not worried about quality, because all they try to do is sell you the game. But if I'm trying to lure you to my marketplace versus another marketplace, my games have to stand out. So you'll have games that'll come out individually that may come out around the same time, and you can either say, okay, well, we're going to go up against this game, or we're going to go up against that game, and you can position your games at certain times to best suit you, right? You do that. You have that flexibility. Oh, hold on. Grand Theft Auto's coming out that month. We're going to put it in another month where it's a little bit more favorable. So you have that flexibility when it comes to a singular game. So developers so much don't worry about competition as much as storefronts do. There is no switching my storefront into a more feasible time slot. My storefront got to simply be, I'm always competing against other storefronts. I don't get to put my storefront in a certain market that other ones aren't in. Like how I can swap out a game. Oh, ain't nothing really releasing this month, so let me put my game here. You don't have that luxury as a storefront. You're always competing. So the only way to stand out as a storefront is you have to have better quality content. Opposed to when you're just selling a game, it's just all about running the best gimmick to get the most attention to your game, get some great pre-orders, get a lot of sales, bada boom, on to the next game. So as you can see, when it comes to a storefront narrative, you're more inclined to try to influence people to come to your storefront by putting more quality content in there versus the individual game, the selling of your individual game. You're just trying to run a gimmick. And that's why the PlayStation and Nintendo games are so highly rated, so intensely acclaimed. They're that way because, again, they're trying to sell you a storefront. And in order to get that storefront to you, they give it to you via the way of the console. Now, people may say, well, why don't you put this in the cloud? Again, a lot of the if you just strictly relied on the cloud for your storefront, you are cutting off a lot of people, a lot of your demographic. There's more people accessible via the cloud, but are they actually your target demo? Like, for instance, I got a mean ass vegan macaroni and cheese recipe. It's mean. It's excellent. I get told I should sell it. I should stop what I'm doing right now, open up a vegan store where I'm just simply selling that vegan macaroni and cheese. I get told that all the time. But if you're not in the market for vegan food, regardless of how good that is, who cares? That's how consumers are going to look at it. Oh, that's a great vegan. I don't care. I'm not vegan. I don't have any dairy allergies. I care less. I'm a slob. I don't care. I'm going to eat regular mac and cheese. I don't care. Right? I'm not saying people that eat regular mac and cheese are slobs. I eat regular mac and cheese too. But I'm just saying, whenever I go to various functions where people are like, I'm vegan, you know, and I'm like, well, I'm going to make a macaroni and cheese that everybody will eat and everybody will enjoy. And then when people eat it, you know, I'll whisper to the vegan person, hey, look, that's vegan. You can eat that too. Somebody here like, what, that's vegan? What, this is vegan, right? But when you're in a scenario where, like, let's just say if I'm just at a county fair or something like that, and I got a booth and it's like vegan macaroni and cheese, and people normally go to county fair. They don't care for vegan stuff. They're coming to slob down. They're coming for deep fried Oreos, you know, chocolate covered chocolate. You know what I mean? And if I'm sitting there with a vegan macaroni and cheese shop, people are looking at that like, people want to be gluttonous and you know, sloppy with their health at county fairs. They're just going to walk on by. Even though my vegan macaroni and cheese is comparable to normal cheese and it's better for your health, they don't care. So what I'm saying is, you can put your you can put your stuff on the cloud gaming platform and make it accessible to a lot more people. But most of those people, the overwhelming majority of people that you're making it accessible to, are not part of your target demo. They don't want to talk. The cloud gaming demo isn't typically worried about performance and worried about fidelity, all like that, and latency. Where your native gamers are worried about that. So if I were to put, and then a lot of them out there that would have access to cloud gaming, they're more price conscious. So if I'm Sony and I'm selling premium games at $70 and I don't have a Game Pass or a subscription, you know what I'm saying? I got to sell my games. I don't have a war chest of a Microsoft to loss lead and do something like Game Pass. I got to sell my games at $70 a pop. And even though me being on the cloud is accessible to more people, the overwhelming majority of those people are not ripe for my product. The people that are ripe for my product are still tethered to consoles. They want the performance that comes with hardware. They want the latency that comes with hardware. And again, like I said, platforms like GeForce Now rival that. But that's GeForce Now. Is PlayStation and Nintendo at a point to where their cloud services rival what their hardware can do? And the answer to that is no. Definitely not with Nintendo. PlayStation is close. They're getting close. They're starting to close that gap. That PlayStation streaming is awesome in many ways, but does it rival the native experience? Like, can you just say, well, you know what? I don't need a PlayStation. Like, if they put this on the cloud, I'm good. Not yet. There's a lot of hiccups and things that happen. I've showed you guys here on this channel to where, you know, a native hardware gamer would be like, no, I don't want this. Where a cloud gamer probably wouldn't care. But again, because of PlayStation and Nintendo's model where they're not reliant upon subscriptions, that would turn the cloud gaming community off, because the big swath of the cloud gaming community, or the people that are accessible by cloud, they don't spend the premium dollars that a PlayStation or Nintendo asks for. They don't. So what I'm trying to say in so many words is, expecting PlayStation or Nintendo to completely give up on consoles just does not suit their business model. It would be disastrous. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, though, is that you can still have the benefits of your console and primarily driving your marketplace through your console, but then you can create a dynamic to where you maintain the people on your console, and those people that have those expectancies on the console can come to the console, while at the same time doing the things that you're looking to do with the PlayStation 5 Pro, and do them through the cloud. Now, that's what I wanted to show in showing you this. I wanted to get cloud gamers to better understand why PlayStation or Nintendo is not going at this moment. I think it'll happen eventually, but at this moment, they're not going to abandon their storefronts and their storefronts being presented by hardware. There's a reason why they do that. That's how they tap into the most success, by doing it that way. Yes, putting your stuff on the cloud opens you up to more people, but to convert from hardware to cloud is going to bring them less money because of the dynamics that I mentioned before. The demographic wants the plus benefits that hardware provides. They're not willing to accept it in the cloud, your target demo for your business model. The people that are available via the cloud are not in lockstep with your current business model. So it doesn't make sense at this juncture to abandon hardware and put everything on the cloud. There's many of us that hear this are like, well, I would do it. You don't represent the entirety of the demographic. You're a unicorn. You're an anomaly. I'm an anomaly. You know what I mean? If PlayStation put what its offerings right now on the cloud versus the console, I would probably be like, it's better on the console right now, but I'll deal with the cloud. And I will be playing it on the cloud. I'm an anomaly. All these people that would gain access to the cloud, they're not going to do that. They want some type of subscription service. They don't want to pay $70 a pop for this. And a lot of people that are accessible to the cloud, you know, they're not even looking for AAA gaming at the moment. We got to get those that like AAA gaming to convert to the cloud, because right now they're tethered to hardware. Okay. All right. Now that I've gone over that and I've helped you better understand why it doesn't make sense for everybody to abandon hardware at this moment and go totally to the cloud. That doesn't mean that these hardware first platforms can't embrace the cloud more, even day and date, even to do some of these more technically astounding things. What am I talking about? Well, another reason why. Okay, so I want to show you what Matt Piscatella had to say, which I think the mainstream gaming community is getting wrong. I broke down what Matt Piscatella does. I broke down in totality why you guys got to better understand this stuff. But here's where mainstream gaming is actually in the wrong. Matt puts this in. Y'all made Matt leave Y'all made Matt leave Twitter, and y'all made him go to Blue Sky. He's tired of all this bickering back and forth that's happening on Twitter. And I have a Blue Sky account, or MM2K Gaming Network has a Blue Sky account, so you can check us out on MM2K Gaming. I do have a Threads account, but I don't be on Threads, or I'm not on Mastodon. We have accounts there, but the MM2K Gaming Network account we do have on Blue Sky, and Blue Sky operates so much like Twitter. It's like Twitter's second home, so you might want to check it out. Anyway, he's over here on Blue Sky now, and he says, if you think the price of the PlayStation 5 Pro is too high, you'll just be part of the 85% of the PlayStation 5 buyers who think the same thing. The thing is, this thing is targeted at the price insensitive hyper enthusiasts. If you're not in that group, that's okay. Most people aren't, but it certainly exists. Blame capitalism or whatever. Okay, so there's a reason why I have this highlighted in different colors. Notice how I have 85% plus of PlayStation 5 buyers highlighted in green. I have hyper enthusiasts highlighted in green, but then I have price insensitive highlighted in red. And what I have highlighted in red, I think, is at the crux of the problem of a lot of the mainstream discussions around the PlayStation 5 Pro justifying the price. We're going to go circle back to that. I want to go to something else that Matt Piscatella put out there that is very interesting. He says, PS4 Pro fun facts. In the US, PlayStation 4 Pro accounted for 13% of total lifetime PS4 units and about 15% of dollars. The PlayStation 4 unit volume trend did not significantly change when PlayStation 4 Pro released, but the average price went up, succeeding at driving incremental sales to the super enthusiasts, not mad space. So, I have highlighted in green, PlayStation 4 Pro accounted for 30% of total lifetime PlayStation 4 units and about 15% of the dollars. So here's what the PlayStation 4 Pro succeeded in. It succeeded in only being 13% of the sales, but representing 15% of the sales dollars because of its higher price. So it actually represented a 2% hike. It created a 2% hike in sales dollars because of its price. So Matt is taking that and is applying it here, where he correctly says that 85% of PlayStation 5 buyers think that the PlayStation 5 Pro is too high. And basically what he's saying is that, in that quote, the reason why I highlighted it in green is that not necessarily isn't correct, but 15% of the PlayStation user base is the target. 15 to 20. 80 to 85% of you guys, PlayStation isn't even looking for you guys. They don't even need you guys to buy this thing. 15 to 20% is the target. So that's why I highlighted that in green. And who is that 15 to 20%? It's the hyper enthusiasts. Here's the problem. Matt Piscatella thinks that 15 to 20% represents price insensitive hyper enthusiasts, when it really just represents hyper enthusiasts. The reason why the PlayStation 4 Pro was successful in doing that with the 15%, 13 to 15%, is because its price point was within the medium that was acceptable to gamers. You got to remember, generation prior, in the 7th generation, PlayStation tried to release a $600 base console, and they fell flat on their face. They had to drop the price down to $500, right? Because $600 for a base console is too much. It's too high. Gamers are not going to accept that. However, the price for a mid-gen refresh now might be different. Mid-gen refreshes normally have been $500 because they're considered a mid-gen refresh. And that's after a price cut to the base model. You know, so normally you'll have a console that's like $400 and the mid-gen refresh will be $500, the price of the base model when it launched. While I'm thinking about it, let me do something else here. Let's go to trusted Google. How much was the PS4 Pro at launch? I just want to be 100% sure. Okay. The PlayStation 4 Pro was $399. It was $400. That's because the original PlayStation launched at PlayStation 4 launched at $400. But then there was significant price cuts to where even when the Slim came out, the Slim for a while was only $199. Because of supply restraints, they're not able to do that. So you're not seeing significant price cuts of the PlayStation. You've seen a little, and I'm going to show you what happened when the price cut was applied and how it negatively impacted Sony. That'll help you better understand the price of the PlayStation 5 Pro. I'm not excusing it. I don't think it's right, but it'll help you understand Sony's mindset. So the PlayStation 4 Pro was $399. That $400 for a mid-gen refresh was considered fine. Was considered awesome. It was like, okay, great. It's under the $600 threshold. The Xbox One X, which was a mid-gen refresh, a more powerful one, launched at $500. I think that was around 10% of the Xbox One sales, which the Xbox One sales weren't that great anyway, but still. It was within the 10 to 15% realm for Xbox One. $500 was considered, expensive, but acceptable. So now you go to current day, where it's been drummed and beat in our head that the costs to make these consoles are so high, you cannot slash prices like you have been able to in previous gens. PlayStation realized that, hey, in order for us to meet these sales totals that we're being looked at to make in the market, we have to slash prices. And look what happened. Sony plunged $10 billion after its PlayStation 5 sales cut. But a bigger issue is its near decade low games margins. And when you look at the margins, it says, but analysts, here, let me highlight this. I want to highlight this. This is important. It says analysts were watching another key metric. The operating margin in the gaming business, which came in just under 6% for December quarter, according to a CNBC calculation. By contrast, Sony's operating margin was more than 9% in December quarter of 2022. And more importantly, prior to January 2022, margins at the gaming unit were around 12 to 13%. So you're seeing a 50% drop in margins, meaning revenue. I mean, not profit. how much it cost versus what's left over. Their margins are shrinking. So here's what's happening at Sony. They realize they got to sell more base consoles, but to make up for those margins of the base consoles that are sold, so they can they're trying to do a balancing act. They said what we're going to do is we're going to try to lower the price of the PlayStation 5, excuse me. We're going to lower the price of the base model. And we're going to do that at rates that are going to, hurt because our margins are lower than what they normally been. But we're going to make up for that in a variety of ways. The prices went up on controllers by $5, which is asinine. The prices of the cost of the console in Japan went up significantly. And they may not be done with other things like that on top of the price of the PlayStation 5 Pro being $700. $600 normally is a no-no, even for a mid-gen refresh. But because of the state of the market, people understand, and they would have been willing to accept $600 for a mid-gen refresh. I want to show you guys something. Let me go to Jeff Keighley, who's been tweeting at Massive trying to defend this PlayStation price hike. I want to show you guys something. So he says, what do you think the right price for the PlayStation 5 Pro is? I'm going to say $600. And look at that. 46% of the people surveyed says $599. $549. I think these are people that are not part of the target demo. And look at this. There was 140,000 votes. 46% said $599. There's a reason for that. $599 would have been acceptable under these current situation. But here's what Sony's doing. Sony is trying to use the PlayStation 4 Pro model, hoping that 13% of its consumer base will buy the PlayStation 5 Pro. And then actually, instead of increasing it from 13% to 15%, increase it from 13% to maybe 20%. Because when you listen to Digital Foundry, you find out that the actual margins are likely the highest margins ever for a console. They're saying, look, we're not expecting Sony to sell this at a loss. We understand that. But when I look at what they've done hardware-wise, this is coming from Digital Foundry, when they look at what was done hardware-wise and they look at the price, they say, no way is there a $700 price tag in the parts that they've done. And they said their margins, in so many words, their margins are extremely high on this. Why are they extremely high? Because this is their strategy. We want to sell more consoles because we want to have more consoles sold on paper. That's going to help with us financially, or that's going to help with us in the market with analysts. That's going to help us with analysts rather. But to make sure that the smoke and mirrors that we're putting up with analysts because the console sold and the prices slash doesn't hurt our margins too much, we are going to make up for the margins elsewhere. Price hike in Japan, price hike in peripherals, a price hike, elsewhere. And I blame Hiroki Totoki for this. I do not like him as the head of SIE. That's a whole nother podcast. Go to MM2K Gaming to hear me go off on that. This is where we're at because they want to raise margins to make up for it. It's a gimmick. And one more thing that proves, in my opinion, this gimmick is the fact that they added Wi-Fi 7. Why is Wi-Fi 7 being added in here? Who really is utilizing Wi-Fi 7? And in my opinion, Wi-Fi 7 would be expensive to add into a console. I know there are Wi-Fi routers out there of the cheaper brand, less capable brand. You can get them for $99 right now, right? But to add it into a console and get it to work effectively, who's asking for that? That is unless you want to implement Wi-Fi 7, because really the PlayStation 5 Pro is a beta tester for PSSR for the PlayStation 6. And what better way to get that information continuously fed back and forth between your console and feeding your AI and your machine learning for it to be transferred via Wi-Fi 7. I feel like Wi-Fi 7, probably one of the more expensive components in this thing, is a gimmick that they're going to market. Oh, you're gonna play Call of Duty faster. It's not even needed. It's something that benefits Sony and is driving up the price of this unit even further. So I did all that. That's why I said, bear with me. I did all that to help you guys understand why the console is so expensive. Hold on one second. The console is so expensive. Hold on. Why the console is so expensive, the PlayStation 5 Pro. They're trying to, they realize that in generations past, the success for PlayStation was they get the analysts all riled up so they can get more investors, right? So this is an investor gimmick by slashing prices and selling more consoles. This time around, by slashing prices, that affects their margins, so it hurts them more than it helps them. So in order to go to their adage of being able to slash prices and sell more consoles, they are going to make it up elsewhere. That's Hiroki Totoki's game plan, which I think is hideous. All right. Now let's talk about what they should be doing instead and how cloud gaming is in there. I, per se, I don't know if I would have slashed prices. Just yet. What I would have done, because look, your console is in high demand. It's only going to be in more high demand because Xbox really isn't competing with you anymore. And a lot of people here are not going to like this, but men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. The Xbox software lineup just isn't appealing to the average mainstream gamer as much as the as much as the PlayStation. There is no competition at that level. The PlayStation marketplace is like 10 times more dominant than the Xbox marketplace. What Xbox can hope to do to try to rival some of the things that PlayStation is doing, and not even rival PlayStation, just forget that. With the acquisition of Activision Blizzard, Microsoft needs PlayStation more than ever because the lifeblood to ABK is PlayStation. I think they realized that in the lead up to the purchase. That's why you started seeing games like Sea of Thieves start going over once they started putting a bid in for ABK. Shout out to Steven Totillo, who did a lot of great reporting that showed us that Microsoft was combing through the books. And while they were combing through the books, they discovered how much of a powerhouse the PlayStation Store is. And that's why you started seeing Sea of Thieves come over and stuff like that, because they started realizing the power of the PlayStation Store. So it's not even about rivaling. It's more of a partnership right now, because Microsoft does not have the power within its own stores to rival what PlayStation is doing. So what Microsoft can hope to do is, by using Game Pass and being everywhere, they can reach more people with their games at an affordable price and hopefully gain a bunch of subscribers. If Game Pass can get to 80 million subscribers, then Microsoft, I feel like, with Game Pass is in a good place. They're far off. They're not even halfway there yet. But if they can get there, that's when we can start saying, okay, Microsoft is in a good place now with Game Pass. They're going to need around 80 million subscribers. All right. If they can do that, get those 80 million subscribers, and keep the Leviathan games, the Fortnites, the Roblox, the Apex Legends, Grand Theft Autos, and they can have those embedded in Game Pass somehow. Not be part of the subscription, but as part of the cloud service that's part of Game Pass. Okay, you got the Game Pass subscription, but these free-to-play games you'll get via the cloud, and then if you purchase Grand Theft Auto, you'll get access to that too. If they run a completely different business model that can see a success of 80 million or more Game Pass subscribers, and then they just have the Leviathan games available, or even more via the Windows Store, whatever. I think for the sake of Xbox, if they are going to release a new hardware in 2026, they're going to have to make sure that they get support for a native version of Grand Theft Auto that they can run through the cloud. If they get that, they'll be fine. That being said, if they can do that, then financially they can start to compete. But just off of ABK alone, they're not going to be able to compete with PlayStation financially. So if that's ultimately their goal, hey, look, we're just trying to make more money than PlayStation. We're trying to make the most money in gaming. We're even trying to be Tencent. That's their realm to success. And a lot of that is going to rely on PlayStation. Them putting their games on the PlayStation marketplace. All right. Now, with that being said, I think PlayStation can increase its revenue, because even though Xbox is going out of the console business, so they don't have a threat, they don't create a threat to their business model, they still want to be competitive financially, right? Right. So if they still want to be competitive financially, what they're going to want to do, instead of this Habuki science with, we're going to affect our margins by slashing them even further by chopping down the price, but then we're going to make everybody else pay for this. Because here's what I think. I don't think 15 to 13% of the people are going to buy this thing. I don't think so. That may have been true for the PlayStation 4 Pro, but they did not hit that third wire of the $600, or now I think in today it's now $700. They've been given a grace of $100. $700 is that third wire. Like how $600 was the third wire in the seventh in previous generations. Is now they've been given some breathing room. It's $700. I don't think you're going to get that 13%, 15%, or 20%, because I feel like that 15 to 20% are hyper enthusiasts. But not all hyper enthusiasts are price insensitive. Case in point. When I bought my PlayStation 4 Pro, I knew that the performance was nominal. It was nominal. I didn't get a whole bunch of more frames. I didn't get a whole bunch of more resolution. It was nominal, but it looked better. And I was willing to pay $400 for better. Slightly better. I'm not willing to pay $700 for slightly better. Or Moss, how you know that it's slightly better? I don't know. And that's the problem. I don't know. Why don't I know? Because PlayStation ain't showing me. That presentation was horrendous. And I'm not the only one that feels that way. Digital Foundry feels that way. There's a lot of people that you showed us nothing in that presentation. It was awful. God awful. Unacceptable. That was horrendous. That's why we're seeing statistics like this. Now, granted, I got a video coming to MM2K Gaming where I break it down even further. The conversation is being muddied by two parts. One part is people that this isn't targeted for, and they're upset because they want the full realization of 4K 60 on the consoles, and they were foolishly believing that they were going to get it on the consoles when PlayStation never sold it to you. You were listening to people out there in the community. The same on the flip side, a lot of Xbox people were foolishly listening to creators and stuff that were telling you you're going to have 40 to 50 frame deltas. You got bamboozled. You got fooled because you didn't do your research. That's on you, ultimately, because you got to learn. We got to live and learn. I got bamboozled with the Xbox One X, and I learned from it. And that's why I'm like, hell no, based off of what I've seen when it comes to the PlayStation 5 Pro. And y'all know me. Even though I'm a cloud gamer at heart, I don't mind buying I bought my PlayStation 5 day and date. That's why when I talk to a lot of y'all that I love here in this village, y'all, you're trying to placate to the PlayStation. I got my PlayStation day one, flaunted it. And my fellow Stadia comrades were mad at me, and I didn't give a damn. Why? Because I'm a gamer with a capital G. Love Stadia. I'm pushing that, because I think it's the best way to get what we hope for the future out of gaming. So definitely. But I'm a gamer with a capital G. There's no denying the power of the PlayStation games and how awesome they are. So I'm not going to deny myself awesome experiences because I favor one thing. Now, granted, if I got a choice to make versus back in the day, a game coming to GFN versus it coming to Stadia, and I'm not buying the game twice. Let's just say the game released day and date on GFN and I got to wait for the Stadia. I would rather get the Stadia version because the Stadia version is more versatile. Stadia works better in so many different places. I'll wait. That's different. But I'm not going to completely deny myself of awesome gaming experiences. No, I'm not getting a play. No. So I got my PlayStation 5 day one. And a lot of you missed that. All right. I unapologetically got it. And a lot of you gave me flack about it, and I didn't give a damn because I am a gamer with a capital G. That being said, I don't make excuses for anybody. This was abhorrent showing by PlayStation. Abhorrent. Unacceptable. You shouldn't have even showed the price. You should have waited until you showed us something substantial. Granted, you got two sides that are talking about this mainly that got the conversation all wrong. Again, you got a bunch of gamers that got bamboozled into thinking that they were going to get 4K 60 dominantly on these consoles, and you're not. And this thing isn't even for you. That's right. You just got bamboozled, and you were like, okay, I'm willing to redeem myself, and I'm willing to pay $600 for it. And no, and they're charging you $700. And I wouldn't even be willing to pay $600 for it if I fit into that category, because you're not a hyper enthusiast. And you don't know if you're consistently getting 4K 60. It's not a guarantee. We have seen through various reports through Insider Gaming, where they said via the documents that they saw and the people that they've talked to, that PlayStation they're not forcing you to do 4K 60. They will give you a Pro Enhanced label just for a resolution boost, just for better frames. It's not a guarantee that you're going to get 4K 60 with this PSSR or you're not going to get 4K 60 with this enhanced ray tracing of PlayStations. It's not a guarantee. And I believe Insider Gaming, because they gave you statistics well before launch that match exactly what Mark Cerny said in his presentation. So I believe Insider Gaming always had the insider track with Tom Henderson. So it's no guarantee. So I don't know what I'm getting for $700. I think they should have rolled this thing out. If they were going to be vague right now, they should have rolled it out and the price should have been a question later. Now, how could Cloud help out in this mess that PlayStation has created? How could they have enacted a Cloud? Okay, I briefly talked about this before, and I'm going to bring it up again. The reason why PlayStation is doing this again is because the problems that they're having in margins. They wouldn't hit this live wire, this third rail of a $700 price point with no disk drive, for crying out loud. Jeez Louise. Because they're trying to make up in margins. They falsely think that the 15 to 20% of hyper enthusiasts are price insensitive. And they feel like that enough people will buy this to help make up the margins. I surmise, especially based off the response, because now I realize I'm not the only one, that the price insensitive and the hyper enthusiasts are not mutually exclusive. You have hyper enthusiasts, you have price insensitive enthusiasts, and the price insensitive wing of the hyper enthusiasts, meaning there's nothing too expensive. They could have charged $1,100 for this thing and they would have got it. They call them whales when it comes to gaming. Those PlayStation whales, I'm going to say they only make up 5% of the enthusiast community. No. I'm going to say that they only make up 40% of the enthusiast community. Meaning another 60% are not price insensitive, meaning you can't just charge them anything. Let me give you a prime example. I'm a hyper enthusiast, which means that I'm less sensitive to prices. I'm significantly less sensitive to prices than your average consumer. Meaning, look, if a game comes out that I really like let me give you a prime example. Division 3. Love Division 3. Up until recently, every time they had a season pass, I bought it. Like, I put so much money into that game. Love it, right? If they were to come out with a $150 version of Division 3 that gives me like all this extra content, first few seasons of battle passes, a statue, I'm buying that damn thing. I'm buying it. And I'm buying it without hesitation, right? Something that I really like, that I'm really interested in, I'll spare no price if I feel like that they're meeting up to the standards that I'm looking for. Or I feel like there's a huge possibility it's going to meet up to the standards that I'm looking for. But let's just say at the same token, Massive and Ubisoft said, okay, for $150, we're going to give you a $3 off coupon on a Big Mac. And that's all you get. You're getting the base game and a $3 off coupon on a Big Mac. I am not paying $150 for that. So I'm less sensitive on prices than the average consumer, significantly so, because the average consumer is not going to pay for the $150 version. But I'm not totally insensitive. And that's where I think even Matt Piscatella is wrong. They're making price insensitive and hyper enthusiasts mutually exclusive erroneously. I think that 15% of the market is right. They're hyper enthusiasts, but of that 15%, let's just run some numbers here. There are about 60 million PlayStation 5s out there right now. About 61 million, okay, to be exact. So let's put 61 and let's say 15% of that 61 is 9 million. Of that 9 million, I feel like only 40%, maybe even 30%, Hold on. I feel like only 40% are price insensitive. That's only 3.6 million. That is only 3.6 million. So like I said before, 3.6 million of the 9 million. Let me run the numbers back just in case you get confused. There are 61 million PlayStation 5s out there now, right? Of that 61 million, PlayStation is expecting when this thing launches that 15%, which represents around 9 million people, will upgrade to the PlayStation 5 Pro. They may not all do it at the same time, but with over a 6 to 12 month span, though, that's your potential target that will upgrade, right? Because they are hyper enthusiasts. I think at the $600 price tag, you are correct. But at the third rail $700 price tag, you're now cutting into the hyper enthusiasts, and you're going to a more niche group, the price insensitive hyper enthusiasts, to where the price insensitive hyper enthusiasts, I feel like only makes up 40% of the entire enthusiast group. Meaning that instead of you getting potentially 9 million people to upgrade, you're now only getting 3.6 million people to upgrade because you hit that third rail. So they are going to lose, in my opinion, with said strategy. Okay. All right. Now that makes sense, hopefully, let me now tell you my solution. My solution is don't cut the price of the PlayStation right now. Don't cut it. Don't cut the price of the base right now. Keep those margins. People will understand. I would have the PlayStation 4 Slim. I would have that at $300. I would actually make the disk drive $100. That's what I would have done. I would have had the disk drive at $100. I would have made the Slim. You know what I'm saying? And then if you want to get it bundled, okay. Maybe do a bundle at $479, $480. Yeah, maybe do $479. You want to give people a relief on the bundled kit? $479. So you're dropping the price of the bundle by $20. $20. That's it. The Slim by itself is $399. The hard drive by itself is $99. The combo of the two is $479. Let me go to GameStop. Well, did they actually do that? I'm gonna go to GameStop. Let's go look and see what the price of the PlayStation 5 is. Well, no. So here's what they actually did. So the PlayStation 5 Slim console, they raised the price $50. So now it's $449. See, this is where I think it was bad. This was a bad decision. This was a bad decision. They raised the price of the Slim $50. And now they have the price at $499. I think that was a bad decision. I think what you do is you sell the Slim at $399. You sell the disc drive at $99.99, and then you have the bundle at what? $479. That's what I would have done. But now what you do is you create this dynamic to where, because here's why I would have done that. I would have done that because that drops the price $20 only for the bundle. And that helps you sell more consoles. Where I don't think you kill your margins that much. Because now, if somebody buys a Slim and they want to upgrade to a disc, now you got to pay $100. Or what you could have done is, and then what you could have done to make up those margins of the extra $100 disc is so you have a $399 Slim, you have a $599 Pro, and if you want a disc drive for anything separate, you got to pay the $100. I think that's a lot more reasonable. And then, so that takes it to $699, but then you get a disc drive with the $699. You know what I'm saying? And you don't drop the price there. So that would have been a better way, I feel, of not too much affecting your margins. Having people buy that extra disc drive if they want it for $100, but then still keeping the PlayStation 5 Pro within a reasonable price, because if you want to go digital, you can get one for $599. I think that would have went over so much better. But by them doing this $80 disc drive, that just murky things up too much. Now, again, you probably are looking at that and you're like, Mars. But see, by them having it at $450 and them not slashing the price of the console at all with the bundle, you know what I'm saying? What they've essentially done is that they just raised the price of the digital by $50. Isn't that smarter? Isn't that smarter? And I would say no, because in the long term, your goal to raise margins with the Pro has been extremely, it's been extremely hampered. So yeah, they're trying to make up the margins. And I think they did it in a bad way. I would have had a price cut of the bundle to just by $20. Just by $20. That would have spurred so much activity. So much. Digital still $399. The disc drive though now is $100. So if you haven't bought one and you want a disc drive later in the future, you now got to pay $100 for it. And that would have set you up perfectly for the PlayStation 5 Pro. Where, okay, now the PlayStation 5 Pro is $599. And now the disc drive is $100. You see what I'm saying? So I think you would have been a little bit more reasonable in balancing console sales and margins, and you would have been a lot more successful in getting those margins. Now, here's the problem. All right. So we include the disk drive for $100, and it only boosts up to $100. So they're losing revenue that they could get from having the disk drive raise the price up to $780, and then the stand and all other stuff. So they're losing out. So how do they make that up, MM2K? Well, number one, I think a lot of the profit margins are getting lower using that model, but I think they get so much more money coming in that kind of negates it. But here's what negates it even further. This is where cloud gaming comes in, and this is where cloud gaming negates those losses. What you do is you start putting your games out there on the cloud. As you have been, Sony has been very aggressive in putting their games on the cloud. But what you do is you make the cloud accessible via PC. And you let that be not only your strategy to increase margins, because, okay, all right, now I get to access PlayStation games without the console, right? I get to experience them at the base PlayStation 5 level. And I don't have to sell a console in order to do it. Because my prices are so high now, that cuts off access to a lot of people. So maybe what I can do is, without the need of getting a console, I now open it up to maybe another 10 or 20 million people will now buy PlayStation games. Because the library is limited. So these will be an additional 10, maybe 20 million people. These are not going to be people that own a PlayStation 5 now. They're not going to sell their PlayStation 5 and go on the cloud. I'm going to tell you, I wouldn't do it now that I already own a PlayStation 5. What I would do, here's what I would do. If I didn't own a PlayStation 5 already, I'm probably not getting one until there's a serious price decrease. So now you're telling me I can play PlayStation games on the cloud without the console? Guess what? I'm buying like 2 or 3. I'm buying like 2. So here you got another $210 coming from another 10 to 20 million people. And that's how you make up that margin loss. Because you don't have to manufacture, even though you're selling a console at a plus, you don't have to manufacture a console in order to access me. I already use what I already have. And I feel like that if you give me this service, which is limited to the console experience, but it still would be enticing to about 10 to 20 million people. That's where you make up your margins. Because those 10 to 20 million people would either have to sign up for PlayStation Plus Essential and still would have to buy their games. And I feel like there would be at least 10 to 20 million more people that would be willing to do that via their PC, via Chromebook maybe. And that's how PlayStation makes up their margins instead of trying to gouge people. Because them trying to gouge people is ridiculous. That's what they need to do. And I think on top of that 10 to 20 million, you have a bigger user base that have PCs that probably would be willing to buy your games off your marketplace, again, because you're using the cloud. You're not putting this on PC natively. I don't believe in PlayStation doing that. I think that's a big mistake by them doing that. I think what PlayStation should do is, if you want to access our games via PC, get it via the cloud. Stabilize their cloud functionality and just put it on the cloud. And then what that does is, because you're doing it via the cloud, you might get another. It might go from 10 to 20 million to 20 to 40 million people that want to play PlayStation games that have rigs, right? But want to really play PlayStation games real bad. If they do it through the cloud, there you go. PlayStation, ain't nobody going to play via the cloud. They want to play natively. Let's take a look at something here. Cloud sucks. They're going to want to do it natively, MM. What are you talking about? All right, let's take a look at something. These are the top games on Steam right now. Counter-Strike. Okay. Dota 2. PUBG. Naraka. Apex Legends. GTA 5. Warhammer. Rust. And Once Human. What are that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Let's go one more. Oh, no, I can't go one more. So out of the 14 games that I counted, or 13 games I counted, because this is the SDK based, only 3 of them were not reliant upon online usage. So to sit there and make it seem like that all people play on PC or single player experiences that don't utilize the internet is ridiculous. And the amount of internet that you need to run cloud gaming right now is the same amount of internet that you need to run a game of Fortnite. It was like that in 2019. There's studies out there that show that it was like that in 2019. It's even more efficient now. So there's no way that PlayStation couldn't put their cloud service on PC and still have access to this wide audience. Look at this. Look at all these people that now are, they're in games right now. They're in games right now. That's 1 million, 2 million, 3 million. About 4 million people that are in games right now. I just counted out of 9 of them. You're trying to tell me that 20 to 40 million people wouldn't entertain playing on the cloud, that don't have good enough internet to do so? These are the same people that are playing Counter-Strike all day. They're playing Dota 2 all day. They're playing PUBG all day. They're playing GTA 5 all day. They're playing Apex Legends all day. They're playing Naraka, Blade Point all day. Once Human all day. They have more than enough internet to play these games on the cloud. That's how you make up your margins. Why? Because in order for them to play your games, they gotta pay for access to your store. They got to pay for access to the store, like $14.99 a month or whatever. Then they got to pay for the games. So I have a choice. I can either buy a PlayStation that gives me access to the store based upon the purchase of my PlayStation, or I can pay the $14.99 or the $17.99 and rent access to the PlayStation Store. I still got to buy the games. I still got to buy them. To me, you can't beat that with a stick. You can't. And that's what I would be doing. 20 to you would open yourself up to 20 to 40 million more people at least. And that's how you are able to, like I said, you would have been able to, okay, keep the digital, the base digital at $399. Okay, maybe I sell the hard drive at $100. I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to drive you away from the disc, because when you go digital, that's less you can trade in and all that other stuff, and that raises their profit margins. I get that. And I know a lot of people say, MM2K, that's crummy. An extra $20, it is what it is. We do have to understand that there's got to be a little bending, because those are dangerously low profit margins, and they're going to do something. They could do something far worse, which is what they're doing now. It's far worse right now that they raised the price of the digital to $450, that they added another $5 to controllers, and they're charging $700 for the freaking Pro without a disk drive and a stand. They raised the price in Japan. They are doing worse. It would be a lot better for consumers if they just made the Slim the way that they did, $399 for the base Slim, $100 for the disk drive. Give you a $20 discount if you do the bundle. Make the PlayStation 5 with the disk drive, the Slim and the disk drive, $479. That would be better. It would be better if the console, the PlayStation 5 Pro, was an all digital console, but if you wanted the disk drive, you had to buy the disk drive separately, right? Then it would be even better if, to make up for all those margins, instead of doing these ridiculous price raises and stuff like that, if they allowed you to do the PlayStation Premium, what is it, $17.99, that allows you to play your games via the cloud that you've purchased. And they could roll it out to where it's another tier where it's PlayStation plus PC, where maybe you don't get access to the games that are given to you, in the subscription service. You don't get access to the PlayStation plus, rotating library of games. You can make that a console exclusive. Make that a console exclusive and make it a benefit for owning the console. But what you're doing is you're paying for access to the PlayStation Store, $14.99. For access to our servers in our store, you got to pay $14.99. And for your $14.99 a month, you get access to our PlayStation Store via the cloud. And I would roll this out in different areas. Roll it out in Asia first. See what the Asian response is first. If the Asian response is great, then roll it out to more places. If it's not great, then tweak it. Do what you need to do. Then start rolling it out in Europe. Then I would roll it out in North America. And there you go. There you go. We hear from a lot of PC Master Race people that are like, "Oh, I would never pay that fee or whatever." This isn't for you. This isn't marketed for you. And look, let's do something here. Let's be honest. To my PC Master Race people, I love you guys. I really do. My brother's a PC Master Race person. Let me see. Steam survey. But we need a dose of reality here. Okay, so this was the Steam hardware survey just last month. Let's look at it. Let's look at GPUs. Come on, it's not video card descriptions. Okay. So the number one GPU out there is the 3060, which benchmark is extremely low as far as being able to play these. Now, granted, it has DLSS, so you're not getting the worst performance because of DLSS. But I don't think you don't have DLSS 3. I think is that only a 40 series thing? I could be wrong. But my PC master race people, which I'm going to say 37 Ti or higher, 1%. 1%. 1%, so that's 3%. 4%. 5%. 5.5%. 6%. You make up 6% of the gaming populace. 6% of the gaming populace. You don't represent the totality of the PC gaming community. 94% of the PC gaming community are not able to play these AAA games with the type of fidelity and performance that they would love to get, that they would get from a native PlayStation 5. They're not able to do it. So what they would love to be able to do is get access not only to PlayStation games, but get access to them day and date through a comparable service that can give you 4K 60 in a lot of cases. They may not buy the games. They may not buy the multi-plat games. Some of them may buy the multi-plat games depending upon their rig. That 94% that does not have the hardware to play these games natively, they're ripe for the picking. They are ripe for the picking. So instead of trying to upgrade their PC, they have options. One of them being GeForce Now. Another fathomable option would be PlayStation Now Marketplace being on the PC via the cloud. And PlayStation would have a leg over GeForce Now because they're not just offering some of the games that you can get natively. PlayStation is bringing its storefront to the cloud, which includes its critically acclaimed games. That's what they need to do. If you want to do day and date PC, do it 3 years after the fact, 3 or 4 years after the fact. Make your games available day and date on PC via the cloud. That way you don't have to worry about hacking, pirating, none of that's cheating, none of that stuff. They're playing through the cloud. That's what they should do. We'll see. We'll see what they actually do. But I'm telling you, man, this is not the ideal situation for PlayStation. Now, granted, this is going to give some of you heartburn, but I can only tell the truth. I cannot sit there and placate. I'm not saying, yeah, Xbox isn't a great... No. Like I said earlier, Xbox is not even competitive here. They're not. They can hope to be competitive financially, but here, no. As an ecosystem, no. Nothing rivals the PlayStation marketplace. Nothing. Nothing. But they are really giving a black eye to their brand and the viability of that marketplace by doing stuff like this. I think Hiroki Totoki needs to be shown the back door. And then I think cooler heads should come in and say, it's time for us, in order to make up for these margins, it's time for us to embrace the cloud. And that's it from your boy. Let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below, because like I always say, who cares what I think? But if you did like what I had to say, check out the links below to follow me. The links will lead you to Hard Knock Digital Culture, MM2K Gaming, and here, Cloud Dosage. And again, like I said, we're going to be running this every other week. So we're doing this today on the 12th. The next one will be on hold on. The next one will be on the 26th. So we'll see you here again on the 26th for a new Cloud Meets Mainstream. But with that said, that's it from your boy. Until next time, have a wonderful gaming day. Peace.